Assalamu alaikum student. Today we will learn unit number 5 maps, lesson number 2 finding places on a map. In this lesson finding places on a map we will learn what is a grid, example of using grid, finding provinces on a map and finding cities on a map. Let's start. What is a grid? A network of lines that cross each other to form a series of squares and rectangles. For example, the lines on graph paper are an example of a grid. Let's see this diagram. This is called a grid. Why we called it a grid? Because it contains number of lines that cross each other to form series of squares. Number of lines that cross each other to form series of squares. Now place some symbol in this grid at different places. Let's label this grid horizontally by giving numeric values. So, the 1 represents this horizontal row. This complete horizontal row is represented by numeric value 1. This complete horizontal row is represented by numerical value 2. This is the 3 horizontal row. This is the 4th horizontal row, the 5th horizontal row, and the 6th horizontal row. So there are total how many horizontal rows in this grid? 6 horizontal rows from 1 to 6. Now let's label the grid vertically by giving alphabetic order. The A represents this vertical column. This complete vertical column is represented by A. B represents this vertical column. C is represented by this vertical column. This is the D vertical column. This is the E vertical column. The F vertical column of this grid. This is the G vertical column of this grid. So there are total how many columns in this grid? From A to G. Okay. The plus symbol is in grid square A3. How we come to know that the plus symbol is in grid square A3? As we know that A represents this vertical column, 3 represents this horizontal row. So both A vertical column and 3 horizontal row combines to make which grid square? This A3 grid square. And which symbol is placed in this grid square? The plus symbol. So the plus symbol is in grid square A3. An audio sound symbol is in grid square C3. Let's find out it. Where is the C vertical column? Yes, this is the C vertical column and this is the 3 horizontal row. So the C vertical column and 3 horizontal row combine to make a grid square C3. And which symbol is placed in grid square C3? An audio symbol. Let's take a while and clap for yourself if you understand the basic concept of a grid. The sun symbol is in grid square B6. This is the B vertical column and this is the 6 horizontal row. So both B vertical column and 6 horizontal row combines to make B6 grid square and the sun symbol is placed in grid square B6. The moon symbol is in grid square E5. As we know that E represents this vertical column and 5 represent this horizontal row. So both E vertical column and B horizontal row combines to make E5 grid square. And the moon symbol is in grid square E5. The home symbol is in grid square. The home symbol is in grid square G6. G represents this vertical column. 6 represents this horizontal row. So the G vertical column and 6 horizontal row combines to make G6 grid square, and the home symbol is placed in grid square G6. Let's find out where the cities are. This is the map, this is the political map of Pakistan, and in this map we will find where the cities are. Let's label this grid. As we know that we will always label the vertical column by giving alphabetic orders and horizontally by giving numeric numbers in this way. Now, the question is, name the cities in these grid squares. In which grid squares? C4, E5, D6 and E6. But before that, we have to know where the grid square is. So let's find out the grid square C4. Start a line, make a line starting from point C and ends where we find 4 horizontal row. In this way. Now make another line starting from point 4 and ends where we find C vertical column. In this way. So the C horizontal vertical column and 4 horizontal row combines to make this grid square known as C4 grid square. And which city is placed in grid square C4? Quetta. Make a line starting from point E and ends where we find 5 horizontal row. Make another line starting from point 5 and ends where we find E vertical column. So the vertical column and 5 horizontal row combines to make E5 grid square. And which city is placed in grid square E5? Lahore. Make a line starting from point D and ends where we find 6 horizontal row. Make another line starting from point 6 and ends where we find D vertical column. So the D vertical column and 6 horizontal row combines to make D6 grid square. And which city is placed in grid square D6? Peshawar. Make a line starting from point E and ends where we find 6 horizontal row. Make another line starting from point 6 and ends where we find E vertical column. So the E vertical column and 6 horizontal row combines to make E6 grid square. And which city is placed in grid square E6? Islamabad. As you can see, this symbol is in grid square E6. Now let's find out where the provinces are. Label the grid vertically and horizontally, as I have explained you earlier. Now what the question is? In which provinces are these squared? Which squares? B3 square, E6 square, D4 square and C3 square. But before that, we have to find out where the B3 square is. Make a line starting from point B and ends where we find 3 horizontal row. Make another line starting from point 3 and ends where we find B vertical column. So the B vertical column and 3 horizontal row combines to make B3 grid square. Now the B3 grid square is in which province of Pakistan? Balochistan. Yes. Make a line starting from point E and ends where we find 6 horizontal row. Make another line starting from point 6 and ends where we find E vertical column. So the E vertical column and 6 horizontal row combines to make E6 grid square. And the E6 grid square belongs to Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. Make a line starting from point D and ends where we find 4 horizontal row. Make another line starting from point 4 and ends where we find D vertical column. So the D vertical column and 4 horizontal row combines to make D4 grid square. And the D4 grid square is in province. Which province? Punjab province. Make a line starting from point C and ends where we find 3 horizontal raw. Make another line starting from point 3 and ends where we find C vertical column. So the C3 grid square belongs to which province? Sim province. Okay class, make a title page, chapter number 5, Maps in your notebook. Read this note carefully. You can either do a photocopy or carbon copy or take printout of this map. Which map? This map. Then paste it in your notebook on the blank side of your notebook, that is the left side of your notebook. Now write date, day and homework. Then write topic, finding places on a map, and write question number 1, that is, name the cities in these grid squares, which I have explained you. So which city is in grid square C4? Right answer here. Which city is in grid square E5? Right answer here. Which city is in grid square D6? Right answer here. Which city is in grid square E6? Right answer here. There is one more question, question number 2. And the question is, in which provinces are these squares? Which I have explained you. So, the B3 grid square belongs to which province? E6 square grid square belongs to which province? Right answer here. D4 grid square belongs to which province? Right answer here. C3 grid square belongs to which province? Right answer here. Okay. You have to do the work in this way, which I have explained you now. So this is all for now. Thank you class.